So I'm here with the incredible RaeShanda Lias and the indomitable Representative Jasmine Crockett.
Yes. Oh, shenanigans.
So you may have heard, Donald Trump is not a big fan of history generally. Certainly not a big fan of Black history. Congressman Crockett, how are y'all responding to that in Congress? We have a Secretary of Education that does not know anything about education, about educating our kids. We have the president who is signing executive orders to, right now in Philadelphia, trying to get rid of the horrific legacy of slavery in this country, saying we can't tell those stories, taking down the signs about the Japanese internment camps at our national parks. How is Congress and how are you sort of viewing this assault on American history? Because I remind folks, Black history is American history. And so this is an assault on American history. How are you responding to that in Congress?
I know I'm supposed to give people hope, but I appreciate what was just stated because it is true. I think that for me, it's a matter of reminding people that there was a point in time when they did not want us to be able to read. And it was against the law for Black folk to be able to read because they knew that education was the key to our freedom. And I need to remind people that education will continuously be your key to freedom. Now, does that mean that you've got to go and get 50 degrees? It does not. But it does mean that you need to make sure that you feed your mind.
Yes.
If you feed your mind and you get the information, and so that is why and how you can find our ancestors that maybe didn't have a formal education because they were disallowed from having it, but they were beyond educated. When we talk about the United States specifically, we went from literally being in chains and building the White House to occupying it. You tell me what other people did that. And so that is why education is your real freedom. And that is why we see the assault on it. This is not new. This is old news. The problem is that if people don't know what happened before, then as they say, you're doomed to repeat it, right? And so you're talking about the lack of qualifications. They have somehow tried to do everything that they can to make the face of all inadequacies be people of color, basically anybody that's not white, male, straight, and probably rich. Everybody else supposedly is inferior in some way. Again, this white supremacy ideology, but when you look at it, I may be an amazing attorney, and frankly, I would say I am. I get it in a courtroom, okay?
Let the record reflect.
Yes, let the record reflect. But you don't want to see me in the operating room. That's not where my training came from, right?
Exactly.
So the fact that you take a podcaster and you make him over the FBI, the fact that you take a wrestling woman and you make her over education. I mean, I do want people to recognize what's happening, or all these Fox News hosts and throwing them into, like you played a judge for a while on TV or something. And so now you the U.S. attorney prosecuting people. Like, I mean, it is absolutely insane.
We laugh, but that's a real thing that's out here happening in the United States of America.
These are very real things. When we see what is happening at the Department of Transportation, when we see all these near misses, when we see that we are constantly plagued with planes being down and not being able to take off. I mean, we've gotten to the point that, people are not connecting the dots in that they are intentionally trying to dumb down and reduce the amount of positive influence that these people have by making sure you don't have anybody that's qualified. So they are literally making it seem as if these are jobs that anybody can do. So I'm gonna just throw random people in, and they are putting us all in harm's way. And I need people to understand that your whiteness ain't gonna be able to save you from some of the hell that we are experiencing, whether it is the tariffs and the cost, whether it is the economy and the lack of jobs. Like, you have to decide when you are going to say, you know what, forget everything else. I just want actual qualifications. And if everyone decided to look at resumes and ignore everything else, there was only one conclusion. I'm not saying this because I'm a Democrat. I'm saying this because I literally gave a speech at the DNC where I talked about how one had a resume and the other one had a rap sheet. And in the real world, you put those two resumes down for any job, whether it's at Walmart or Target, which whether you put it down for one of the two, I can tell you which one not gonna get the job.
Speaking of resumes, and some people do not know that you are a former elected official as well. And we all know as people who have run for office that the results that you have are what you have to put up to the voters when you want to run for re-election. And under the current administration, prices are higher than they've ever been. Inflation is higher than it was before he got into office. Everything that he promised is going in the opposite direction. And so he's feeling a little worried about his ability to hang on to the majority in Congress. And so you remember that he asked folks down in Georgia to fine him 11,000 votes. And now he's asking state after state to fine him some congressional seats. And so I want to know what you are thinking about your state where the gerrymandering has already taken place, and now you have other states which want to follow suit. So I want you to respond to what's happening with the Texas gerrymander, but if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Well, I just want to say, first I want to say I ran in 2020 for city council in Louisville. Now, I did not win. I almost unseated a 20-year incumbent, but it was 2020. We were shut in. I was so close and I was so excited because I finished Emerge, which trains Democratic women to run for office. And that was a promise that I wrote to myself that I would run. And I said, when I make a promise to myself, let's just go ahead and do it. People wanted people that were honest. A lot of people are suspicious that Jasmine is who Jasmine says she is because they're not used to people being who they say that they are. So that is one thing. But now that the transparency that we are getting is right in front of people, blatant saying, I want these seats, take these seats. And everybody is now looking like, can he do that? He's not. The point is they're not supposed to. They just don't care. But we are in this for real. I try to get to people before hope leaves their eyes. When you see people that grew up in the same area, their grandmother, their mom, and now them, the same pothole is there, the same food desert is there, the same lack of transportation to get a job on the other side of town is there, and you knock on their door in 2026 or 2028 and want them to vote. And you look at them, if you've never seen a person with hope has left their eyes, it's like talking to a wall. First of all, they don't have time. If they're working, they already struggling, they don't want to hear you. If they have not seen a change, they don't want to hear from you. That's why I was glad to get out there and see people. They're like, oh my God, you're a divorced mother of four. You were homeless when you came to the city. You built yourself up to a businesswoman. You got something to show that I don't have to stay where I am just because this is where I've always been. That's what they need to see and hear from. So when you get people into these places and they start snatching up seats and they start gerrymandering and moving things, and then the people that move in still don't mean them any good. And then they see that we're not doing anything to stop it. That's where it comes back to the hopelessness of it all. It's like, well, then what do we fight for? Right? And I'm thinking, like I told you earlier, I'm banking on the fact that they are wanting that from us, but we are a people of perseverance. But they are banking on the fact that we're going to be exhausted by all this and just throw our hands up. But we cannot do that.
Yes.
Right? We cannot do that because I'm just not here for me. I'm here for that guy that I knocked on his door and he was like, my grandmother grew up in these projects. My mama was here. I'm here. I'm just trying to eat. When your stomach is growling, you do not want to hear from anybody that's making false promises to you. They want to see change, which is I'm so glad that we have our first Black hospital in West Louisville, that we have our first Black pharmacy in West Louisville. Things are changing. But at the time when you meet people and they don't see anything moving for us, they're not getting out to vote. Right?
I want to change something that you said. Corruption is on full display. But I will say that transparency is absolutely not. Not when you get a bad number on the jobs and you decide, you know what, never mind, let me just fire the person that released the numbers. Not when you have a DOJ website that ends up deleting these FBI statistics around who it is that is committing this violent crime. Like, they are not being transparent whatsoever. The fact that this administration has engaged in, and I'm not even gonna say the administration, this president himself has engaged in somehow putting a lot of money in his pocket, and we don't fully understand how. We don't know where he is engaged in business dealings. We don't have full disclosure on his cryptocurrency. Like, it is the absolute opposite of transparency, but the corruption is on full display. He has decided that he wants seats. He wants to take those seats at a cost to people of color having real representation, people of color that will potentially lay out and fight for that person that has lost the hope, right? I have a lot of people like that in my district where I have one of the highest incarceration rates in the entire state of Texas, but I also have one of the highest poverty rates in the state of Texas as well. And so, yeah, there are people that it doesn't matter if the Democrats are in control or the Republicans are in control, nothing ever happens for them. Yeah. And those are the people that say, well, what's the difference? Both parties are the same.
Well, what is the difference? What is the difference?
So,
why are you, Jasmine Crockett, a Democrat?
Well,
no, seriously, what is the difference? Why are you a Democrat?
Now you asking me an existential question.
No, yeah.
What people need to understand is that there is no perfect party, right? And it's a matter of which one do you more align with. I align with this idea that we don't grow from the top down, but that we grow from the bottom up, and that everybody in this country is supposed to have an opportunity. And what does opportunity look like? Well, what did I say the key to freedom was? It is education. Yeah. Whatever that education looks like. Again, not someone that says you got to go and get a 4-year degree and be bogged down with it. Right? It can be a trade. It can be all the things, right? But like, it is education in my mind that can move you forward. And what makes us so different and so unique in this country is that it's supposed to be no matter where you came from, no matter what your background is, you can too become the richest person in the world. That is what we are supposed to be able to have. And there are certain people that have decided that there will not be an American dream, but nothing but American nightmares for certain groups of people. And so I don't side with that. I side with this idea of opportunity, whether that looks like you just have this vision of this business that you want to start. How do you access capital, right? Or whether it is recognizing the harm to, say, Black folk. Like, I am believing in real freedom and liberation for all people. And so, call me a little green or a little too optimistic, but I believe in the American dream. I do. That thing that makes other people, not like my people, but other people decide that they will risk their lives to come over here because there is an opportunity here for them and their family. I believe in that, like, wholeheartedly. I believe that it shouldn't be a matter of Nepo babies like the ones sitting in the White House are the only ones that have opportunities because somebody is giving you everything. You got everything given to you and you still can't pronounce names of things that you want to sit up here and tell everybody they can't use because it's going to hurt you or hurt your baby. I can't. They want to call me everything but a child of God, and they looking at this bumbling fool who can't pronounce acetaminophen.
He can't.
Like,
he was on the struggle.
And
He's on the struggle bus.
And the fact that your staff, they know you stupid. So why your staff didn't say, now, sir, now this word, they know they needed to spell it out phonetically for him to help him out, or they should have just told him stick to Tylenol.
This is why we got to fund. This is why we got to fund the schools. So I want to talk about two more things before we let you out of here. I want to talk specifically about the budget. We know right now that there is a debate about funding the government. I've been a little bit confused because Republicans, last time I checked, are in control of the House of Representatives.
You ain't
They're
confused.
in control of the Senate, and then the president signs the bill. Okay, but I've heard people suggest that Democrats somehow have the ability to shut the government down. So can you please educate the people on what's happening?
Please.
No, you are not confused.
Okay, all right.
You are a lawmaker. You understand how this works. And, Republicans don't know how to count. But here's the thing. When you're in a legislative body, you control everything. So if the government shuts down, it's on y'all. Just like the last government shutdowns we had were under this same president. In fact, the longest that we've ever had in the history of this country came at the feet of this president. I don't know why so many people had amnesia when they decided to go out and vote for this again. But we knew we were going to get more chaos and dysfunction. So, no, you in control. Do what you do, big boy. Let's see what happens. And so, I cast my no vote because ain't nobody come at me and ask me what the people in my district need. Right. They didn't ask me what would look good for those in South Dallas. Right. They didn't ask me about that. So, listen, I got people that I serve that are counting on me to do their work and to be their voice and not work for him. I don't work for him. He can't hire me. He can't fire me. The people that elected me in Texas 30 did. So unless you want to have a conversation with me about the priorities for the people in my district, baby, you're not getting this vote. Listen, he can do whatever he wants to do, but this will be on the Republicans. I need people to tune in and learn how to count and learn who controls what. If you want things to function, maybe put the Democrats back in control. Now, I know people got beef with the Democrats not being as aggressive as we should have been, especially since we got him over here just running ramshot over everything. But at a very minimum, you can always count on there being level-headedness and responsibility when it comes to Democrats because they care about federal workers. They care about our constituents and making sure that those services are still available because when the government shuts down, then that impacts our constituents directly. It does. But based on what Trump has made his priority since day one, it has never been the people. It has always been his cronies who will put money into his pockets. You can go ahead and get a pardon if you just donate to my campaign. I mean, he is true, the corruption again.
And one of the things I want to make sure it doesn't get lost, and then we go to our last question. If they are not extended, the healthcare tax credits, people's healthcare costs are going to go through the roof. And one of the things I've heard you talk about and Democrats talk about is that you're not willing to vote for a continuing resolution. That's a budget bill that does not include those healthcare tax credits. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that is key to all of this.
But here's the deal. Okay, so I'm going to be real about this healthcare situation. We are about to face an onslaught as it relates to healthcare, no matter what, because of the big ugly bill. And a lot of people, when they talk about the big ugly bill, they only talk about Medicaid and Medicare a bit, but the reality is that they pull $1 trillion out of the healthcare ecosystem. So it doesn't matter if you are on Medicaid or Medicare. I mean, it does, obviously, but it still doesn't matter to the extent that everyone's cost is going up because now that hospital that used to be able to, your local hospital that used to get, say, $3-4 million a year from Medicaid or Medicare, they won't have that money coming in. And so now, in order to keep the doors open, it's those who have what they consider to be their good insurance, right, that are going to be paying more. That is not supposed to take effect until after the midterms. That was very intentional to not kick the 17 million people off their health care, before then, because he's trying to get this, midterm to be what he wants it to be. That's why you were just talking about the redistricting thing, and with the seats. And no matter what, I'll be able to return to the House. And I feel confident that I'll be able to win a seat to come back to the House.
We need you back.
So nevertheless, as it relates to the Affordable Care Act, this is their attempt at repealing the Affordable Care Act, which they have tried to do in so many different ways. And so, yes, there are people that need those tax credits so that if you are on the marketplace and otherwise, you can be in a better position to be able to afford your health care. So this is yet another way of going after even more people as it relates to the health care that they do have and making it to where it is unaffordable in a time in which the cost of everything is already going up. It is truly going to be a catastrophic situation that we are facing economically if the courts don't rein him in, because unfortunately, we know that the Republicans in the House and the Senate have no intention of reining him in.
No, they won't even release the Epstein files. So they're not going to rein him in.
And here's the thing. In Kentucky, rural hospitals and nursing homes will be closing.
Yeah.
Right? As I told you, me and my brother moved in January of this year with me to help take care of my mom. She's in stage 5 dementia. A bare minimum memory care facility, a C+ memory care facility is $10,000 a month without Medicaid. So who's going to cover that if that's not going to, let's just go to the fact that you have to sell everything to get on Medicaid.
Yep.
So we have to spend all her money. She does not have a home, but we would have to sell her home, do all those things before you even get on Medicaid, and then go to a memory
years
care
before.
And then she's on a waiting list. We have to get an in-house sitter. I travel for work. My brother works, and we are taking care of a 67-year-old woman that started at 61.
Can I just pause you
Yes.
there? Because I think that what you're bringing up is part of the conversation that we are not doing a very good job of highlighting.
Yes.
It is not just a matter of, whether or not you have Medicaid or Medicare.
Right.
It is those that love you and are going to be responsible
Yes.
for making
And care for
sure
you,
that,
that's right.
exactly.
Yes.
So like you may say, oh, I'm good. I don't use that.
Right.
But you have a mom or a dad or a grandmom or a granddad.
Yes.
And when that is revoked, it then falls on who? Everybody
family, right.
else. Yeah. And that's yet another conversation we're just not having. So
And folks are being squeezed on both sides, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to
They
live
are.
your life and take care of your family. So
Yes.
this is the last question, because there are like really big things happening every
Yes.
single day. Like
Every
if
day.
you pick up your phone, this president has said or done something to embarrass himself first and foremost, but to embarrass the country
Yes.
and to make life worse for all of us. I say all the time, I think Democrats have a 3-word mission and message. Our job is to make life better for folks.
Yes.
And this administration spends every single day making life worse for folks. And one of the things that happened to me and RaeShanda were talking about this, the frustration of everything going on is leading a lot of people to take this phone and just chuck it out the window, say, I'm not going to pay attention to what's happening. Nobody cares about me. Nobody's in it for me. None of this matters. What do both of you, I want you to start, I'm going to give you the last word. What do both of you say to folks who say, I don't want to engage in politics. It's too much. I'm too overwhelmed. What do you say to folks?
First thing I want to say to everybody that's listening and everybody that feels that way is that you have to hold on to hope, right? You have to also, you don't have to be so engaged. There's a medium, right? Even for me, I get overwhelmed. Yes, I definitely want to chunk my phone. Luckily, I have insurance on it. I'm like, not again today, because just being educated and knowing what's happening, it's infuriating. And you're like, I wish I didn't know. I wish I didn't know that this was incorrect. I wish I didn't know that this was wrong, because then you could just tap out. But I don't want that, because again, that goes back to my saying of holding on to hope leaving people's eyes. If you just feel like all of this is for naught, we are doing all of this and still not getting anywhere. I have to get up, go to work, tend to children, do all these things. These are what people tell me. I don't have time to be engaged in politics. The bare minimum I can do is vote. And then when you get to the people that they're exhausted by the whole thing and don't even want to do that, that's where the problem comes in. So I am asking people to just hold on. As Jasmine said, I do believe in this American dream. When people ask me, why did you serve this country? Why did you go into the army and do the thing? Because my people are here. And I know that everybody don't have the stomach for it and everybody don't have the will for it, but if they can just hold on to the fact that there are some good people here that are trying to do the work, that's what I want us to focus on. Everything else is noise. We have to focus on what's in front of us. And yes, it is a distraction. All of it is, because it's foolishness. Malcolm, it is foolishness. Some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth in this administration, I'm like, for real? No, they're just handing out degrees. Some of these people don't even have them. They just out here making up rules, and people get frustrated because of that. They get frustrated because they like, dang, how did these people get a seat when they don't even know what they're talking about, right? And that's a frustration too, because I'm out here every day. Let's just talk about the fact that wages haven't moved and everything's going up. As Representative Jasmine said, that is frustrating. You're talking to me about a vote and rent is $3,000. I got, and then we see all this chaos and people in high places that don't even have to worry about rent or mortgage. They don't have to worry about those things. They can wake up and go buy a Birkin and go on with their day. Those people make other people feel like, well, they don't care. They don't care about me. We have to go inward now. If you don't want to be online, get offline and still do something in your community, right? Because real things are happening. Most people are detached because it's like, it's online, it's not real. No, this is real life and real things are happening. So if it's overwhelming online, get offline and go do in your community.
Let me give you the final word, because you're dealing with this every single day. How do you process, manage it? What do you say to people in this moment about why it's so important to stay engaged, to vote, to do the whole thing, and to support the Democratic Party. You know, we have our flaws, but obviously, you know, we working on it.
No. Okay, so first thing I would say is protect your peace. You know, I don't have any notifications on any of the social media apps at all. I get 0 notifications. You know, the trolls are out there, or the bots are out there, or just the ignorant people, whoever. As they're out there, I know nothing. You know,
well, if you don't know, Donald Trump does not like you. If you're not aware.
I'll tell you, it's always somebody else telling me about him.
Yeah.
So I say, number one, protect your peace, okay? By turning off your notifications. Like, you don't need that. You need to set aside time to educate yourself. So you need to figure out who it is that is a trusted source where you can get your information. And even when you're busy and you're just like, I need like just a little quick something, like that's where you get an amazing RaeShanda. Like that's where you get this information. You find those people and you just specifically go there and get whatever information you need to kind of get caught up, because you don't want to get behind. That's number one. Number two, something else you said, talked about like hope and like you never know, and like there are people that are fighting. I will tell you that I was never anybody's first pick, so to speak, right? As it relates to kind of being plucked and saying, oh, no, you are gonna be the one. That's not how I entered politics.
Right.
It was the people,
Hear.
it was the people that decided to elevate me.
Yes.
And so again, I really do believe with every fiber of my being that it's the people from the ground up and not a top down thing.
Yes.
So while I had everybody against me, the people said not on our watch. And I was able to defeat someone, and I was outspent 5-1. And so I was able to come in, but the thing is, I didn't even know that I would be here today and I would be who I am today, right? Like, am I still the same person? Yes. The only difference is there's so many more cameras on me. You go back and you talk to friends from elementary. Yes, I still have friends from elementary school.
Yeah.
And they will tell you she's always been who she is.
Same.
Like
Yeah,
I am the same, right?
I love
but
that.
it's almost a matter of I've now been discovered by other people, right? Like the cameras allowed more people to be exposed to who I am. So the reality is that there are so many people, in my opinion, that are bigger and badder and better than me that just literally have not been exposed yet. So don't give up hope, because it's not a matter of the fact that I am the aberration or I am the exception. But honestly, I think it is the fact that I am more normal and I am more real, as you talked about authenticity, that actually wins the day.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of we're not the ones that are picked. We're not the ones that are going to be propped up.
No.
So you have to make sure that you are keeping your ear to the street and you are watching who it is that's in your community with no title, but making change, because that's where their heart is, because that's who you want to elevate. Because give them a little bit of, say, a budget, give them a little bit of, say, power. Imagine what they will do, because they've done a lot with nothing.
Come on.
So you had specifically asked about, you know, those people that are like, I ain't got time for politics. And State Representative Tony Rose always says that you may not do politics, but politics will do you.
Oh my God.
And
My
it
grandfather said that all the time. That's right.
it is the one thing that I really want to impress upon people, as you talked about rent prices, right? As you talked about wages not going up. Everything that you talked about is a political decision.
That's right.
Right? And so whether or not, you know, wages are going up, well, we have the ability to raise the federal minimum wage.
Yeah.
It's not happened, but we do have that ability, whether people know it or not, right? But that is something to highlight. Whether you're talking about rent, a lot of times, depending on where you are, whether or not you have rent controls, there is an elected official that has the ability to decide whether or not there's a thing such as rent controls in your cities. It is incumbent upon us, those of us that are doing the educating, those of us that are seeking the votes, it's incumbent upon us to connect the dots, because people don't see that as political decisions. Right. But every part of your life, whether or not you have access to a Head Start, that's a political decision. Whether or not you're able to get any money so that your child can go to college, that is a political decision. Your struggle does not have to exist if you just carve out the time, just like you carve out the time to make sure you head to work, you carve out the time and you make this a priority, because this is about working smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
And if you work smarter and elect people or kick people out that are not serving you, then maybe you don't have to work so hard on your job where you're not getting your just due. Or you don't have to work so hard working multiple jobs because you can't afford your healthcare bills. Like, this is about working the smarter way, not the harder way.
Well, thank you so much. We have been made smarter, and we have also been working hard. Okay, RaeShanda Lias, thank you so much for being here, for joining us. Jasmine Crockett, my dear friend, thank you for being here and joining us. We do go back. We do go back. No stories will be told. We are ending here. Thank you guys.